Hey guys, how's it going? It is Christian here, also known as Thelightchrissy on social media. I am here today because I just wanted to have a moment to just be open and honest and talk about a little bit about my journey, I guess, how I came into contact with tarot cards and basically how I began my journey in my spiritual journey, which I am still yet on. So, by any means, I'm not trying to say that I have arrived at a destination yet because I don't think we ever really arrive at a destination. You start talking to God, and next thing you know, it's 10 years later. Well, three for me. But yeah, in 2000, what is it, 2020 now? Maybe, oh, it's gone on 4 years now. Maybe like in 2017. I want to say 2017, maybe 2016. Yes. um I went through a pretty tumultuous breakup, and now that I, even in retrospect, not anything more typical than any other breakup, but I think that for me, I had reached a rock bottom of love and of my life to see, to get to that place, because I had had bad relationships before and bad breakups before. And I, always said, okay, I would never end up in that place again. But then you look up and what do we have? I'm in that place again. So I think that that was the year that I turned 30. So I decided, I just kind of took the time to say, okay, what was the common denominator between the relationships that I've been in, and I just kept on coming back to myself. Now, that was a pretty hard concept to take in, because when people do certain things to you, in our world, there are good things. There are things that you do in relationships, and there are things that you don't do in relationships. So um, if we talked about someone cheating or something like that, then we'll automatically say, oh, that person is wrong and you're greater than that, and you deserve so much more and you should never talk to them again, which all of those things are true. If anybody cheats on you or abuses you or any of those mean things, that totally is wrong. And definitely that support system of those friends are supposed to be there, to encourage you that you deserve better. That's what they're meant to be there for. But in the midst of that, I think what I did this time around after going through that was lighting the incense, y'all. I actually took a moment to actually play devil's advocate for myself. And what I mean by that was what things I looked at myself in a way that I never looked at myself before. Like, since I knew that I was the common denominator, I tried to go over all aspects of myself, not just the good that I brought, but maybe some of the things that were not as great, some of my not as great qualities, which still, even so, none of those are, and disclaimer, none of those things are worth anybody treating you any kind of way, diminishing your character, who you are, cheating on you, abusing you, physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, whatever, any kind of way that someone can abuse you. That stuff doesn't merit that. But for me, for my growth, I had to determine how could we make sure that we never again ended up in that place. And that's not to say that I was going to have some plan that was going to make every relationship after that work just mysteriously and magically, like it was just going to all be together. But I said to myself, I will let this be the last time that I get to this low. Because you can't control another person fully. You can't control relationships. I mean, people change. Like, it could be going good one day, and then we all have free will. So someone can choose something different. And that brings me to my next thing. I got to the point that I realized that, you know what? Everyone is making a choice every single day. And at first, it kind of stings to know that someone that you choose may not choose you. But then at the end of the day, I think about it like this. Like, if like I have a box of Crayolas right here, because I've been coloring. So I got me a little coloring book. I have my little mer creatures coloring book. So that's what I've been doing in my little free time. But just like this box of colors, if I chose to use the green and the orange, I get to choose to do that because I have free will over my life. But if another person sees this box and they want to use blue, let's see, gray, what's the name of this color? Green, yellow, then they have the same options. And no one could say that my reasoning for wanting the green and the orange is better than theirs of wanting the lime green, that's what I'm going to call it, the green, yellow, or in the gray. So even if it wasn't the color choice that I would have selected, and that's a tough pill to swallow, because a lot of times, we're surrounded in a right wrong society, making one thing be right and one person be right and one thing be wrong. And I think that's what kind of woke me up to duality. So what it made me look up was, I literally went to Google and I started searching. Narcissist. Well, really what it was, I didn't know what a narcissist was at the time, but I looked up, are there people that are incapable of loving? And little did I know there was a whole thing about it, and it's called narcissism. So if you don't know anything about that, which I'm sure that you do because it's been so used and thrown around, just anytime anything doesn't go right, somebody's a narcissist now, but that's neither here nor there. But I use that and then I read and I was like, well, if this person is a narcissist, and then I feel like maybe these qualities that you're saying about a narcissist may have fit more than one of the people in my love life, and let's even go further than that, maybe some of my friends as well. What does that say about me? Because I don't fit these qualities. So then after that, I noticed the pattern or the thread between being an empath and the relationship to a narcissist. So how I view that is just like, there's one that's connected to more to their shadow almost, and then one is connected more to light. Now, when I say light and shadow, of course, if we think in a right and wrong terminology, we would be thinking like one is better than the other. And it took me time to get to understand that one is not better than the other. It's the same thing I was saying about the colors, but they're just different spectrums of an experience that we're having in life. And whenever I did that, I just started reading and researching, and then I started reading about empaths more than I started to read about narcissists, and why did they have that relationship, and why, if all had been taken away from me by these, if on a scale of 1 to 10, this is like boss level on a video game, like the final level, like type of breakups, how am I surviving all of this? Like, it must be something in me that is special. And then I just thought about it. I was like, not only has it been just relationships, I felt like it's almost like you feel like there's this personal vendetta in life against you. And I thought back about how far back I could remember it. And it was all the way back to, I can really remember. I remember being in elementary school and having problems with people being mean to me, and not me really being mean back. But after a while, I started to get a little snappy, which made me appear like a certain type of way. But anywho, that's beside the point. I started to notice that, and when I read about empaths, it started to open me up to reading about intuitive gifts. So then I started to read about intuition, and then I started to kind of open myself up to the fact that maybe some of these things that I have said before in the past to people, where I didn't know what made me say the things that I said. I didn't know where it came from. It just made me say them. Like, I would get in trouble with my parents for being in grown folks business, as it's called. But even with my parents, some of the things that I feel like I said to them, they came to be like self-fulfilling, even at a young age. Now, I wasn't predicting death or anything like that, but it was like an energy, and it's always been something I could feel about people. I remember being in college, and it would be certain people that my friends would all like, and it would be just like a person that I may just have not liked, and I really didn't have a reason to not. They didn't do anything for me to not like them, but it's just a vibe that I just didn't feel. I didn't feel safe around them. I didn't feel secure around them, and I don't know what made that be that way in me, but I used to act on it, and just kind of, it got me in so much trouble because I acted on it. So I didn't realize that when you're acting on the energy of someone, if you're acting on it before they actually do the thing, well, eventually down the line they might do it, but your friends don't want to hear that if they're showing no signs of it. So I had to learn how to harness the fact that I would know things, and that you can't just always jump into everybody's drama or what everybody else thinks, and you have to let them be able to use those colors how they want to, and you just have to be able to be okay with that. And that's something that I just came into the last few years. So anyway, back to me with the empaths. When I started looking at that, when I started looking up intuitive gifts, I looked up, how do you strengthen them? You know, how can I be in control of them? Because I didn't know that was what was going on. And I've always shown, like, this side note, I've always shown this interest in spirituality, even at a young age. I remember being fascinated with angels and wanting to know the answers to the Bible. So I would ask so many questions about things that were kind of contradictory with religion. I remember asking those questions at a young age. So the type of question that I would come up with that an adult would come up with now would be the type of questions that I would ask that it would make, well, I'll get back to you. Well, let me see. Well, let me get that. I could always stump people in church, or stump people who are very religious with some of the things that they say, because they're very contradictory. So yeah, I looked up, I stayed looking at things about empaths, and I started to look and having intuitive gifts, and I looked up ways to strengthen those, and then I got into crystals. So then crystals, after I went into crystals just kind of transformed into me trying to put myself in a state of meditation. When I learned about that, then I started to see that, oh, I like going to the gym, and I kind of go into like a transit kind of space when I'm working out, or when I am listening to music. So I started to get that when I would be listening to music, or when I'd be working out, that these ideas would come, and any questions that I needed the answers to would kind of reveal themselves whenever I was in that certain type of vibration. So I literally moved from where I was in Houston, because I lived in Houston, Texas, but I moved to Atlanta because it's almost like, once you see it in that way, I felt like I literally had like this death moment, to where everything looked decayed and old, and I just couldn't exist with what I had, because I had to look around in my entire life, and it was almost like at that time, I think that I looked at it and I was just very hurt, because I felt like maybe all of these people have kept me down, or they've treated me like this, because I've allowed them to, and nobody stood in and said, hey, let me stand up for him, or let me do this. Like, it'd be situations where I knew that my friends knew that the way that I was being treated in certain situations, even amongst our friend group, wasn't right, but no one would stand up for me in any of those places. And now I know that it was because I needed to learn how to stand up for myself, but it doesn't change the fact that it's cruel, because when you think that you have friends, you just expect them to be the people to do that for you. So I did spend a lot of time being very hurt and very resentful and very mad, and I moved to Atlanta, and I started to, the more and more, and I'm still healing from all of that, but the more and more I kind of got there, I kind of like came into myself. There was a point where I had a relationship when I moved to Atlanta. It was very short-lived, but the person in the relationship, it was that now that I went in with this certain type of respect for myself, to where I made sure that I put myself first, and I prioritized myself over anyone else first. Not because I was being selfish, but because I knew it was my responsibility once I moved somewhere else to make sure that I was okay. And that came before any relationship. And I got with someone who I felt like at the time was at a place to where they needed me. They needed the sacrifice of myself to feel like they were receiving the love that they needed. And good person, great person. I had a lot of good times with that person, but I feel like I had to make a choice. And the choice that I made in that was to choose myself. And then I noticed that I had never chosen myself before. So it was just like a sacrifice that even put me to a place to where I could even, once I noticed the power that I had to choose myself, it made me start to do it everywhere in my life. And I just started choosing myself, choosing myself, choosing myself. And when I say myself, I'm not meaning just myself like Christian. I mean like my higher self, what was in the best. It started to become a question of what's in the best interest of the world. Whatever was in whatever place that I needed to be at in the world was, for me taking care of myself, to put myself in that place was better for everyone, even the people that are telling me that it won't be that way or telling me that they need me in another way. So that was just something to a sacrifice. I'm sorry, excuse me guys. A sacrifice that I had to make. And for once in my life, I sacrificed love or something that I wanted to be able to grow. And I had never made that choice before. So it's just like those choices, it kept on getting stronger and stronger. The choices that I made. And I remember about, it was actually a little over a year ago, maybe last September of 2019, still in Atlanta. I went to a store. I started looking up tarot cards, and I remember when I was younger, there was like this bookstore in the mall, and they had this really, they have like the novelty gifts. They still do have like the novelty gifts by the registers, and they used to have the tarot card deck there. And I used to always think about buying it, but I was so scared because I felt like my parents like would kill me, or like if they found out, they would think that it was like witchcraft or sorcery or something like that, or worshiping the devil. And I stayed away from them for a long time, but then 2000, flash forward to 2000 and what, 19, because it's 2020 now, 2018 actually, I picked up my first deck. I went to a store, so it's almost 2 years, Jesus. I went to a store and I bought a deck. Now the first deck I ever bought, which is right here, I didn't really understand because I didn't know that, they said just get one you're drawn to. And I was like, oh, medicine woman, let me get it. Not because I'm a medicine woman, just because I thought it was cool. So me and this deck, this is a deck that I still couldn't understand because still at this time, I kind of don't really use it that much, but I keep it because it was my first deck. And eventually I'll learn it. But the cards are different they have different meanings and pictures than the traditional. So it was hard for me to cross a reference on those. But then I ordered on Amazon. I ordered my first my first little tarot deck, my Rider-Waite deck. So these are my same little first cards. I still use them. I'm still nostalgic about these cards because I felt like they got me through some of the hardest times when I was by myself. It gave me a project, and it gave me something to do and something to learn when I felt so lonely, because when you start to go through those kind of changes in yourself, it's hard for you to kind of remain in any situation that isn't fair to you. So a lot of the friends that I had, I think that it's just that once I started to heal some of maybe the places that we shared like trauma bonds at, then I think that it started to be a little bit harder for us to vibrate with each other. So it left me in a lot of alone time. So in that alone time, I don't know what I would do if I didn't find something that could be able to, something that I could put my energy into outside of myself. And I bought my first deck. I was so scared to show anybody that I was actually reading tarot cards. So I went on, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like, what is it? Periscope. I used to go on Periscope, and I made up a weird name, and I went on Periscope, and I would read cards on Periscope. So it's kind of like live, and it would be some readers that would come in on Periscope, and they would say, "Oh my God, you're really, really good. How did you got that from that? You're doing really good. Did you just start?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just started." And I was getting the meanings of them right away. So I started to kind of develop like a little bit of a following on there. But then later on, I kind of stopped using it because I've been going through, or not even just now, but I would go through these highs and then these lows of where I didn't touch cards at all, the highs and then the lows, just trying to figure out how to be able to bring this into my world from out of the shadows. So yeah, here it is. A whole year later, and I wish I could show you. It's like a whole. This is a whole. Let me see. It's a whole setup now. I know it's a mess right now because I'm kind of in between doing stuff, but I mean, now I've become like an enthusiast, and I have studied my butt off. But that doesn't mean that it's just like I'm just like reading from what I've studied. I've also made each of the cards. I've related them to my life in such a beautiful way, and I was able to look at these cards and see myself in each of these times that I've been in all of these lessons of life. And with that, people might say, why are you so crazy about those cards? I'm like, I'm looking at the beauty of a life experience through the hands of art and through energy, that to know that these are a gift that have been handed down of people who have experienced these same things that I've been through. And a lot of times when you feel like you're alone and you feel like there's no one there, these just remind me that it's somebody else that may be going through a little emotional. It may be somebody else going through the same things that you're going through, and they need to know that they have some friends or that they have support, and that's what you find in these. And every time I do a reading for someone, so I would like to call myself semi-professional, only because I still work a normal job, and and I read when I can. But I've been trying to venture into YouTube and doing those type of things. I just never I've never kind of been consistent about it because I'm just now getting into a space where I can. But just the privilege of being able to show people something about themselves through cards. Look, it's funny. Show people something about themselves through cards. It's just such a beautiful honor to me to be able to do that. I'm so happy because all I do is just think about how I can be better for the world all day. And then I know that it changed my life. I literally went from one place to an entirely different place. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was literally like 3 years ago. And I just hope that I could bring that to people through the use of cards, so they can be able to see something in their life, or see them how God sees them. And a lot of times I try to tell people that they're like, what is this really, what is this like? And what does it really do? And I'm just like, really, these are all things that that you have the power to figure out on your own. Once you're able to see that side of you. So look, it's funny. I pulled these two cards, and they resonate totally with what I'm talking about. Once you're able to see that side of yourself, to see the divinity in yourself, and to acknowledge it, you have the same power to be able to read these cards. I never tell anyone that I'm any more different or special or anything to the people that I help to be able to, that I read for, or anything like that. I'm just giving you confirmation. And like a kid, after you scold them, if you pull that quarter from behind their ear, then you make them smile. So I feel like the cards are like pulling that quarter from behind that ear, if you would say so. So yeah, I don't really know where this channel is going to go. I know that I watched a video today from her name is Spirit Mail. But I've been watching her journey, and I just love her energy, and I love the fact that she she just had a video that I just literally watched before I did this, talking about coming out of the spiritual closet. And I guess I already came out the closet one time, but I guess I have to come out of the spiritual closet again. So I thought about what she said, like a movement, because almost like it reminds me of when I came out with my sexuality. It makes me feel the same way about doing that spiritually, because it's almost like you have to face so much on the other side. And I just kind of felt so empowered by watching that video. It just made me want to just get on and not be, I've been wrecking like all day, literally all day. I've been trying to figure out what is the best formula. Do I do a love reading because it's Valentine's Day? Do I do a pick a card reading? Do I just read what I see? And nothing was connected with me. But I felt like it was meant for me to just put myself out there in this kind of way, and whatever anybody gets from this, they get from it. And it's just, I can only hone it if I do it. So it doesn't have to just be about I so overthink it, and It's people out there that need to hear us. It's people out there that need to identify with us, and they need to know that it's someone else in the world that understands them. And I don't care about the amount of time that it takes for me to get to grow. I'm planting seeds, and maybe it'll take a while before it gets to the point to where to where I'm bringing it back in. But I know that what I've been given, I'm meant to plant those seeds in the world, and this is just what I'm doing. So hopefully you guys can support me in this journey. Yes, Ace of Cups, that creativity, that flow. But support me in my journey. Sorry, I had cards to fall on the floor. To look, giving back. Thank you, Dad. Thank you. To give, to give what I've been given. Yeah, to give to people. To give people the abundance that I've been given. Yeah, please help me to be able to support that. So with that being said, I'm not sure if I'll be here doing readings like every like other people, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, but maybe that's what they're meant to do. That's what they're called to do. But maybe for me, it's not the same thing. I just maybe may incorporate tarot into my, into me talking like this. Kind of inspired like what Spirit Mail does. Where it's just talking and just being herself, and then at the end the cards relate, usually to the message that that she has. So I'm going to be talking about my experiences, maybe my life, and some of the things that I've been, that are going on in my life at the current time, and then we'll do tarot towards the end if we need to. If I feel like one day I want to get on and do a reading, and just be the cards, it can just be the cards. If I feel like I want to just talk, maybe it might not be cards, but this is just I need a space, guys. I need a space where I can fully, truly be my authentic self without any judgment, where I can express myself, and I just hope that I can get the support of like-minded people so we can all heal together, because I don't want anybody else to have to do it by themselves like I did. I don't know where I would be without some of the the readers that I found that were able to help me, to help me through my times, or when I thought I was alone, and just to know that they were kind of like confirming some of the things that I was going through. So just that magic alone from that saved my life. So all I try to do is, I feel like it's only fair that I return that favor to the universe for what it did to me when I was in the place of where I was lost. So yeah. So it's I got the Starseed card from the Work Your Light Oracle deck, and it says Starseeds are souls with a double mission: to raise their own consciousness and the consciousness of the planet. They are old souls who have incarnated elsewhere beyond this planet. Many starseeds arrive with the feeling that time is running out and that there is something that they came here to do or to create or contribute. If you pulled this card, it's to confirm that you are a starseed and you are being encouraged to answer the call to follow what lights you up. Once awake, most starseeds souls find it hard to have meaningful conversations, jobs, and relationships. They innately know that there is much more to life and feel that there is something more and get to work. They remain restless until they step into their calling, which is to light up the world with their unique presence. Starseeds are scattered all over the world, in hospitals and schools and slums and mansions, on the stages, in edit suites, in parks and nightclubs, in taxis and theme parks. Many starseeds spend part of their lives trying to fit in or some form of spiritual closet. Oh my God. If you are dimming your light to fit in, it is time that you stop and start embracing the unique light that you came here to share, and treat your time on earth like a glorious vacation. I would even have anything to say to even add to that. It's just that look at how great, look at what Spirit has to say about us and how great we are. Anybody here that's watching this, if you're going through the same thing I'm going through, know that you are not alone. And just like it said, it's time to come out of the spiritual closet. We got to get there. I didn't even know that was going to use the exact terminology that I used. So that is just like, or that I was talking about, but that's just so cool. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be back at a later time. Comment below, subscribe, tell me what you want to see, what you want me to talk about, and then we'll just go from there. Thanks.